So we're asked to find the effective rate here. Now, the most common mistake that's going to be made on this problem is right at the start. Remember, the rules for finding effective rate. If it's less than 1 year, what do we use for the time? If it's less than 1 year, we use the actual time. If it's more than 1 year, we use 1 year. This is 7 years, so that means we're going to use 1 year as our time. So what that means is we're going to find our future value is going to be the 7,200 times, in our parentheses, 1 plus 8.6% as a rate is 0.086, divided by compounded monthly means 12 times a year, close our parentheses, to the power of 12 times 1, because we're only going for 1 year. So we find that 7,200 times parentheses 1 plus 0.086 divided by 12, close parentheses, power of 12. We get 7844.20. That's our ending balance. So our next step is to figure out how much of that is interest. So we're going to subtract the 7,200 principal. So there's $644.20 in interest. So now we are going to do I equals PRT. The interest is the $644.20. Our principal is that 7,200 that we started with. Our rate is what we're looking for. Our time is just 1 year, so just 1. Now again, I could go through the motions of combining 7,200 times 1, but it's just going to be 7,200. So I'm going to divide by 7,200 to solve for R. So 644.2 divided by 7,200. 0.08942. We move that decimal point 2 spots to make it 8.9472. Remember, unless we're told otherwise, now some of the problems in my math lab said the nearest 10th of a percent. But here, if I didn't tell you, we're going to go to the 100th of a percent, which is right there. That's right here. 8.95% becomes that effective rate. Any questions? What if then it was something like this? $4,100 is invested at 6.3% compounded quarterly for 9 months. Find the effective rate. I'll give you guys a chance to redeem yourself on this one. We'll give you. So let's see how this one went. Now again, this is 9 months. That's less than a year. So for finding the effective rate, we use the actual time of 9 months. So our future value is going to be our present value of 4,100 times, parentheses, 1 plus our rate of 6.3% is 0.063, divided by, what's going to be divided by here? Quarterly means how many times a year? Quarterly means 4. But now it's 9 months, so it's N is 4 because it's 4 times a year, times 9/12 because it's only 9 months. That comes out to a power of 3. 4 times 9/12 is 3. So this is going to go on our calculator. Wrong button. Get out of there. It's going to go into our calculator. 4,100 times parentheses 1 plus 0.063 divided by 4 close parentheses the power of 3. 4296.79. So we subtract the 4,100 to get the interest. $196.79 is our compound interest. So we use that back in I equals PRT. 196.79 equals our principal, 4,100. R is the rate that we're trying to find. Our time is 9 months. And I'm moving really fast. Can you slow down so we can catch up a little bit? This one up here? Did you put 4 times 9/12 or did you put 3? When you do that 4 times 9/12, you got to put it in parentheses. And it still didn't come out? Okay, so put it in along with me here. I'll tell. So 4100 times, open parentheses, 1 plus 0.063 divided by 4, close parentheses, to the power of 4 times 9/12 in parentheses. Yep, to the power of, and then parentheses, 4 times 9/12, close parentheses. Gotcha. So here we do have to combine the 4,100 and the 9/12. 4,100 times 9/12 is going to be 3,075. So we've got 196.79 equals 3,075 times R. Now we divide by the 3,075. That's the time. 9 months, 9/12 of a year. So 196.79 divided by 3,075. 0.063997. We have to move that decimal point over 2 spots to make it a percent. 6.3997%. Now again, I didn't tell you where to round it. So we go to the nearest hundredth. That'd be right here. That becomes 6.40%. That should always be just slightly higher than the stated rate. This one stated 6.3%, 6.40 is just a little bit higher. For a 120-day simple discount note for $9,800 at 5.9%. Find the effective rate. I'll give you a couple. Okay, I wanted you to see these problems back to back because they are still effective rate, but it is a very different type of calculation. This one, as you saw, is not compound interest anymore. This one is simple interest. So simple discount note, what does that mean? What's that? No compounding in a simple interest. Yeah. So it's at the very end or if there's an action on it, right? Discount, though, means the interest comes out before you get the money. So we're calculating interest here, but when we're calculating, it is interest, but it's called a discount. It's that $9,800 times 0.059 times 120 over 360. So 9,800 times 0.059 times 120 over 360 is 192.73 for interest. So what that means is the proceeds, that's the discount. The proceeds are found after you subtract that from the principal. So 9,800 minus 192.73 is $9,607.27. That is our proceeds. So for effective rate, we use that discount as our interest. We use the proceeds now as our principal, 9607.27. We're looking for the rate and our time, 120 over 360. So we do have to combine the 9607 and the 120 over 360. Which is 3202.42. Now note, again, I'm keeping that in my calculator so that I avoid some round off error here. Because my next step is going to be to divide by that 3202.42. So I take 192.73 divided by that previous answer. 0.060183. That's a rate. Move that decimal 2 spots to get 6.0183%. Rounded to hundredth of a percent, that's 6.02%. Anybody get that? Good. So like I said, I know that's stepping back a couple of weeks, but I wanted you to see those effective rate calculations, one after another like that, because they are very different, but they are still effective rates. This one, the effective rate is different than the stated rate because you don't get all of the money. They take out part of the money first. The other one, these up here, the effective rate's different than the stated rate because of the compounded interest. So what we have looked at in the last 3 weeks, we've looked at simple interest. I know I've shown you this table a few times, but this is the big distinction that people struggle with in this unit because each of the quizzes and homeworks are separate. It's only one of the topics. When we put all the topics together on the last test, it can be a struggle to figure out which one to use. Simple interest is, like we said before, whether it is a simple interest note or a simple discount note, they have a face value. Let's say it is well, let's just do this. So the present value, the starting amount, or we would call it the beginning balance, for a simple interest note, that face value is that beginning balance. In between there, then, interest is charged to give us an ending balance. For the simple interest note, It's that beginning balance, the principal, that principal plus the interest equals that maturity value, which is the ending balance. For the simple discount note, that future value, or that future, the face value, I should probably write that out. I'm going to write that out instead of FV because FV does stand for future value too. So that's face value. The face value is actually the ending balance. That's what you're going to pay back. So they work backwards to subtract the discount. So then the beginning balance, the money you actually get, is that face value minus the discount. But either way, the big thing is interest is charged only once. Interest is never calculated at any point in the middle of that time frame. Interest is calculated once. Now, we did those examples of partial payments in the US rule where we had, 2 or 3 payments and we calculated the interest each time. Well, after each payment, it is considered to be a separate period because that period was not a defined amount of time. It wasn't monthly, it wasn't quarterly. It was just a payment was made whenever they made the payment. That ended the current period and started a new one for those under simple interest. Then what we did last week was compound interest, where we started out with a future value. We started out with a present value, and it grew to a future value, having many periods, and interest was calculated and added on at the end of each of those periods several times throughout the course of that term of that loan or investment. The key for both simple interest and compound interest start with one value, end with another value. No payments in or out in between. So you have a present value, you have a future value. The only thing that happens in between there is interest growing. Simple interest, it's all one big period. Compound interest, there's several periods of interest within there. Tonight, we start the next step in that evolution, which is an annuity. An annuity we have a present value. It grows to a future value. Along the way, there are several periods. Interest is calculated at the end of each of those periods, just like compound interest. difference is there are payments made at the end of each of those periods as well. Whether those are payments going in or coming out, it depends on what point in the annuity we're at. So let's talk about some vocabulary involved in an annuity. What's that? A mortgage can be considered, the annuity calculations can be used to calculate mortgages, but those are technically considered a sinking fund. An annuity can be one of two phases. An accumulation phase. In the accumulation phase, payments are being made into the fund. So you're paying in. The balance is growing. So in the accumulation phase, the present value is 0, and the future value is something. Hopefully a large number, right? Then there is something called the liquidation phase. In the liquidation phase, it's a payout. So if it's an annuity, you have money, this lump, you have a big chunk of money that you have in there, and you're drawing money out to use it on a regular basis. So the balance is shrinking. So in this liquidation phase, the present value hopefully is a large sum of money, and the future value at the end of the liquidation phase should be 0. The goal is to draw it all out or pay it down to 0. Now, a loan or a mortgage undergoes an amortization. That is also, it uses the same calculations as the liquidation phase of an annuity. It is referred to as a sinking fund. You think about it, it makes sense. If you have an annuity and you're drawing it out for like retirement or whatever, it starts out at a large value and you draw money out every month and you use it until it gets down to 0. Well, a car loan is kind of the same thing. There's this balance there, only you're putting money into it every month to pay that balance down to 0. Either way, the balance is shrinking. Yeah, you're instead of drawing money out of it to drop the balance, you're paying money into it to drop the balance. But the calculation is exactly the same. But the key there is still the balance is still shrinking. It's just you're paying money in to shrink it. But yeah, exactly. Now there is such a thing as a liquidation phase where the balance does not shrink. In other words, the balance stays constant or even grows. There's a name for this. It's not an annuity, it's called a perpetuity. Yes. Yeah, perpetuity is an annuity, but it goes on forever. So all you're drawing out is the interest or less. So a perpetuity, theoretically, if you can find a stable enough investment to support it and get a large enough chunk of money in there to begin with, you can set it up so not only can you draw that amount of money out of it every month or every quarter or whatever for the rest of your life, your kids can draw it out, your grandkids can keep drawing it out, all of your ancestors forever and ever, as long as the world exists, can draw out money out of that perpetuity as long as they stay at that amount every month, and as long as your rate of return on the investment stays at or above that rate. So that's a pretty good deal if you can manage to set that up. Now, as you can imagine, it takes a little bit of cash to set that type of setup up. We are not going to do perpetuities in this class. Calculation is a little more complex than what I want to force you guys to do. Even I have mercy at some point. I'm sensing serious doubts in the room. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Tonight, basically what we're going to be looking at is the accumulation phase. There are a lot of things we can do with the accumulation phase. So we are going to start out with, if you know the regular payment in, that regular payment we're going to refer to as just the payment, and want to find the ending balance. That ending balance we're going to refer to as the future value. So what's happening here? We are starting out with $0. That's our present value is 0. And we're building to that future value. Each period, we are adding in interest and we're adding in a payment. I'm not going to label that for each period, but you guys get the picture. On an ordinary annuity, which is the most popular, payments are made at the end of each period. So if you look at this, to me, it always struggled to make a little bit of sense, struggled to make sense out of that. So you start this annuity, let's say you start at January 1st, and you're going to make payments monthly into this annuity. The balance the whole month of January is $0. You don't make your first payment until the end of January. So my answer is, why does the annuity start the 1st of January if there's nothing in it? Why doesn't it start the 1st of February? Well, that's just an ordinary annuity. That's just how it's calculated. The payments start going in at the end of each period. So for the whole first period, the balance is 0. The last payment goes in on the very last day of the annuity. So that last payment gains no interest. Again, that seems kind of silly to me, but that's how it's set up. Formula time. Now the formula I'm about to give you is going to look very different than the formula given in the book. The reason for that is the formula given in the book is in mathematical language, and to try to punch it in the calculator, you'd have to do a lot of interpreting. So what I am going to give you, the formula I am giving you is the calculator keystrokes. Yep. So to find our future value equals our regular payment times. Now, yes, on your calculator, you would have to enter 1, 2, 3 open parentheses. 1 plus, now this next part's going to look very familiar, R divided by N, close parentheses, to the power of N times T. Well, so far that just looks like our compound interest formula, doesn't it? Keeps growing, minus 1, close parentheses. Well, each of those ones actually stands for 100%. So this one here is 100% plus your rate per period, and to the power of the number of periods. Subtracting out the one is subtracting out the first 100% of the original amount. Because you've got to compound the interest and then take out the beginning value. Divided by, open parentheses, R divided by N. Close parentheses, and close parentheses once again. There is our full formula in all its glory. Now again, this looks very different than what's in the book, so I would recommend you have this written down somewhere inside of the front cover or back cover of your notebook where you can find it easily. N is the number of periods per year. So T is your time in years. So example time. So Alex invests $100 each month at 7% for 10 years. Find the ending balance. So let's put in these numbers. The ending balance, yes. Invests $100 each month. That's saying they're investing over and over again. That means it has to be an annuity formula. So ending balance is the future value. So we're looking for the future value. We know the payment, that's $100 times 1, 2, 3 parentheses. 1 plus, what's R? 0.07 divided by what's N? Now it doesn't say compounded monthly or compounded quarterly, but the payments are made each month, which implies then it will be compounded monthly. So it'll be 12. Nope, N is just 12. 12 times a year. Then our NT, it's 12 times how many years? 10. N is 12, T is 10. Now what's that number come out to be? 120. So I'm just going to use 120 when I punch it in to make it easier. It's going to be 120 months, 120 periods is what that means. Then minus 1, close parentheses, divided by again, open parentheses, R is 0.07, divide by 12 still, close and close. So let's type this in together. 100 times 3 open parentheses. 1, you have to do the times. Some of your calculators you don't have to, but it's as safest if you do. So 1 plus 0.07 divided by 12 close your parentheses, to the power of. Now I'm just going to type in the 120. Now here you've got to be careful. On some of your calculators, many of your calculators, you are in the exponent. You have to get out of that exponent now. Most of your calculators is just the right arrow. Notice when I hit the right arrow, my cursor went back down there instead of being up in the power. So make sure if your cursor is up in that power that you have to hit that arrow to get out of it. If you hit, you'll know when you hit the minus. If you hit minus and it's down here, you're okay. If the minus is still up right after the 120, then you didn't do it right. But the 120, yep, yeah, that's fine. Then if you got that just little up arrow caret key, little caret, then yours is fine. You don't have to arrow out of the power on yours. Here it is. Was there a question on the network? I heard somebody starting to talk. No? Okay. So minus 1, close our parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, 0.07 divided by 12, close and close. It equals 17,308.48. $17,308.48. Okay, so let's walk through the keystrokes one more time. Okay, so now did you put it in parentheses? So that's what did it then. Yeah. So let's walk through it again together. So 100 times 1, 2, 3 open parentheses. 1 plus 0.07 divided by 12, close parentheses, to the power of yx, yep, 120 over arrow, yep, then minus 1, close parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, 0.07 divided by 12, close and close. 17,000? Perfect. How about yours? Yep. Perfect. You'd have to do power of and then parentheses 12 times 10. Yes. 12 times 10, close parentheses, then hit the arrow. Yep. You don't, I don't think on your calculator, I don't think you actually have to hit that arrow. So yeah, then the minus 1 outside the parentheses. So it is 6:19, so we're a minute early, but let's take our break. We'll come back at 6:29 with more examples. Okay, let's go. So we found the future value, $17,308.48 for someone who made payments of $100 a month for 120 months. Now let's look at this. How much interest was earned? Well, to figure out how much interest, we need to know how much was the total payments. Total payments was $100 a month for how many months? 120. That is $12,000 in payments, right? So the interest was that future value of 17,308 minus 12,000. So $5,308.48 was interest. Not a bad amount of interest. We can do better. Sam invests $1,000 each quarter at, oops, I don't know why I put a dollar sign there, 9.2% for, somebody tell me how old they are. 26, okay? So 26, let's say you're going to go to 66 to retire. 40 years. Well, you'd be looking at 25 years, but they said the 26 first. So find the ending balance again. Now this one's got some differences in it. Nothing we can't handle, but let's walk through this one together again before I give you one on your own. So we are looking for the ending balance is the future value. That's what we're looking for. Where do we start out with that calculation? $1,000 payment times 1, 2, 3, open parentheses. 1 plus 0.092 is our rate, divided by 4 because it's quarterly. Close our parentheses to the power of 4 times 40 does give us 160. Very good. 4 times a year times 40 years. Minus 1, close parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, what goes in here? 0.092. Divided by 4, right? Then close and close. So let's punch this in together. 1,000 times 3 open parentheses. 1 plus 0.092 divided by 4. Close parentheses. To the power of 160. I have to arrow out of it. Some of you may too. Minus 1. Close parentheses. Divided by, open parentheses. 0.092 divided by 4. Close and close. 1,609,905.08. So $1,000 a quarter is $4,000 a year. You're actually allowed, I believe it's 5,500. It might be going up to 6,000 soon that you're allowed to put away every year in IRAs. And we can put in even more than that in a combination of IRAs and tax shelters. 5,500 a year. I believe it's scheduled to go up either next year or the year after to 6,000. So this is only 4,000 a year at $1,000 per quarter. For 40 years, that's easily $1 million. Oh yeah. Go to investment. I made 23 to 24% on my investments last year. I didn't do the investments myself. I went to an investment counselor and had them do it. Go to, there's Edward Jones, Fidelity, State Farm, all those. Talk to several of them, see which ones you're comfortable with. They all have fees, so ask them how they get paid. So we did ask this, but let's look at how much interest was earned. The total payments here was $1,000 times 160 payments. So that is $160,000 was the total payments. So the interest was 1.6 million minus $160,000. So 1.4 million of that was interest. That's the power of time. Well, yeah, I mean, the stock market crashes or whatever. I mean, I've had years where I lost 27, 28%. But, as I said, the market on average over a 40-year period on average gains between 12 and 13% a year. So that includes years where they had, like I said, my worst year, I think, was a 27 or 28% loss. My best year was like a 42% gain. Yeah. But I mean, I have averaged about 12 to 13% myself, probably between 11 and 12% myself over the last 25 years. So I mean, yeah, yes. You get an idea of what you're investing in because most of the time it's mutual funds, and they'll tell you that this percent of it is in, this type of international businesses. This much is in currency. This much is in, like, they call it growth, which is, like, it all depends on how you look at it. I mean, invested within the United States, it's not going to change. But invested in foreign markets, if we go away from the American dollar being the world trade standard, then it could be an issue. We could lose on the foreign market, but domestically we won't. It won't change anything. Yeah. And there are safer things you can do. Like, you have a military pension, they consider that to be a fixed. So then they'll probably invest. They would probably recommend you invest in more aggressive and riskier things because you've already got that guaranteed money coming. So you'd have a little bit more aggressive. Yeah. 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 And that probably only earns about 7 or 8%. Yeah. Yeah. But it's still better than you're going to get at a bank. But you can still do better in private investments if you do a little bit. Yeah. Diversify though. Okay. Now we said that was an ordinary annuity. Let's take a little bit of time to look at something called an annuity due. An annuity due is just one very small, subtle difference in an ordinary annuity. Even though your future value is what you're going to end up with, and your present value where you start is technically zero, in an ordinary annuity, your interest is still added in at the end of every period. The difference is your payments go in at the beginning of every period. So what that means is your last payment gets made at the beginning of that last period. Whereas in that ordinary annuity, if you remember up here, that last payment went in at the end of the last period, really at maturity. That last payment received absolutely no interest. It just went in at the very end. So basically what's happening and there was zero balance at the beginning here. So what's happening to that annuity due, if we were to line these up together, the annuity due is really starting right here at the end of the first period and then going one extra period beyond this. Does that make sense? So all that's happening, the big difference in the annuity due is there's one period more interest. And the way we calculate the annuity due, the future value of an annuity due, is equal to the future value of an ordinary annuity times 1 period of compound interest. Let me show you what I mean. So the future value, AD, stands for annuity due, is equal to that payment again. Now the next part here is going to look very, very familiar. Times 1, 2, 3 open parentheses, 1 plus R divided by N, close parentheses, power of N times T, minus 1, close parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, R divided by N, close and close. Well, so far, that's our complete annuity, ordinary annuity formula, isn't it? We said it was the future value of an ordinary annuity, which is what we just found, times, here's the extra piece, 1 month's worth of compound interest. So times, open parentheses, 1 plus R divided by N, and then close parentheses. Now, technically, this has a power of 1 here because it's for 1 period, but does it matter if we put that 1 in there? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything. Everything's implied to have a power of 1, so we don't need to put that power in. So, example time. Sam invests $80 per month in a 10% ordinary annuity, or not ordinary annuity, sorry, the 10% annuity due for 15 years. Find the ending balance. Well, of course, that ending balance is the future value. It's going to be times our payment is $80 times 3 open parentheses number of periods per year. So it's per month, so divided by 12. So yes, 1 plus 0.10 divided by 12, close parentheses. Power of, yes, it is 12 times 15, which is 180 periods. Minus 1, close parentheses, and then divided by, open parentheses, 0.10 divided by 12, close and close, then times, open parentheses, 1 plus 0.10 divided by 12, close parentheses. Then hit equals. So 80 times 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 0.1 divided by 12, 0.10, 10%, right? Divide by 12, close parentheses, Power of 180. Arrow out if you need to arrow out of the power. Minus 1. Close parentheses. Divided by. Open parentheses. 0.1. Divided by 12. Close parentheses again. Times. Open parentheses. 1 plus. 0.1 divided by 12. Close the parentheses. 33,433.94. Were you lower or higher? Did you put this term at the end? Well, then maybe I punched something wrong. Let me try it again. 80 times 123. 1 plus 0.1 divided by 12. Close. Power 180. Arrow up minus 1. Close divided open. 0.1 divided by 12. Close. Times open 1 plus 0.1 divided by 12. Close. 33,433. Let's take a peek. Just a little messed up. Now I'm going to let you guys try a couple here. Oh, come on. It's almost 7 o'clock. They're sitting in the chairs of wisdom back there. Stacy invests $250 each month in a 10.8% annuity due for 20 years. Find the future value. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to punch. So I'm going to write down the formula here as you guys are finishing punching it in. The future value is going to be that $250 payment times 1, 2, 3 parentheses, 1 plus 0.108 divided by 12, because it's per month, close parentheses, the power of 12 times 20, which is going to be 240, minus 1, close parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, 0.108 divided by 12, close and close, that's just our ordinary annuity formula, times, open parentheses, 1 plus 0.108 divided by 12, close parentheses. So let's punch it in and see how you do it. I got something wrong. Let me try that again. Oh, yep, that would do it. All it takes is for one thing not to register. You're typing this in, and it's a lot of wasted typing. Yeah, can you imagine before calculators? $212,668.05. Yeah. Yep. I used to have one, but when I got divorced, I never got it back. It was called a Kernel Calculator. If we have some time at the end of class, sometime I'll pull one up online. It's actually smaller than a coffee cup. It's about the size of like the bottom 2.5 inches of a pop can. It's got a crank on it and little slide dials you set on it. Um, Now that was developed in the 1940s. Curtis Herzog was the guy who invented it. He was actually, it's a neat story. He was Jewish. He was in a Nazi concentration camp when he came up with this idea, and he told one of the guard, or somebody told one of the guards about it, and that's what kept him alive. Yeah, it was a little pocket calculator that could add, subtract, multiply, and divide, just with little cranks. But that was really the first major. Yeah, it was manual, but it still did everything. So that was the first calculator that was capable of doing all that. Before that, they had slide calculators. They called them addiators or whatever. And I've got a few of those at home. I'll try to remember to bring one in the next couple of weeks. But I had them given to me. You could do this with the Kernel calculator. The slide calculators you could not. But even with the Kernel calculator, there was some effort involved. So did we get the 212? Any questions there? I had 0.05 too. I just wrote down 0.08 for some silly reason. Yep. Okay. So Carrie invests $800 each quarter in a 12% ordinary annuity for 25 years. Find the future value and total interest. Keyword here, by the way, just pointing it out so you don't miss it. Ordinary annuity. I'll give you guys a couple minutes. So we're looking at a future value with a payment of $800 times 1, 2, 3 open parentheses. 1 plus 0.12 divided by 4 because it's quarter. Close to the power of 4 times 25 is 100 periods. Minus 1, close parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, 0.12 divided by 4, close and close, and that is it. As if that isn't enough, right? $485, $830, $19. So $485 or $485,830.19. So then we have the total payments, $800 times 100 payments equals $80,000 in payments, correct? So that means the interest is $405,830.19. Now you can see as those terms get up, the 10-year term, the interest was not, huge. It was like 30% of the payments. Here, at 25 years, the interest is 5 times the payments. Back when we did the one at 40 years, the interest was 10 times the total payments. That's that power of time. That's being young. Well, what if we want to go the other way? You're 41. Let's go with that. So you're going to retire at 66. That's 25 years. Yeah. That's what people always ask me, what's your retirement plan? Oh, a massive coronary at about 72. Yeah. So anyway, let's say that in 25 years, you decide that if you have $500,000, you can retire. So you want $500,000. How much would you need? Now, assuming you have absolutely nothing right now, how much would you need to invest each month at, let's say, only 9% to reach that value? So what we have here now is we know what that future value is. That's a known amount. We're going back and we want to find out then for each of these periods, what's that payment have to be? Well, this is a lot like our future value and present value was with compound interest. This formula is not much different. So now we are calculating a payment off of a future value. The only difference in our formula is coming right now. Before it was payment times, now it is future value divided by 1, 2, 3 open parentheses, 1 plus r over n, close parentheses, power of n times t, minus 1, close parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, r divided by n, close and close. It's the exact same formula, the only difference is that right there. I know I went through that kind of fast, but it's the same formula. I'll wait for you now. It's just division instead of multiplication. We're going from the lump sum to the payments instead of from the payments to the lump sum. So yes, what we put in here, the future value is the 500,000 divided by 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 0.09 divided by monthly, so 12, close parentheses, the power of 12 times 25, which is 300 months, yep, minus 1, close parenthesis, divided by, open parenthesis, 0.09 divided by 12, close and close. Let's punch this in, see how it comes out. $445.98 per month. So you have to put away almost $500 a month. That's a lot of money, everyone. That's almost $6,000 a year. That's a lot of money to be putting away. Are you? You get 9%? Good deal. Okay. Now, just for you, Ryan, you said you're getting 7 or 8% in that military account. Okay, so this was 9%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump it up just 2%. So 11% is not impossible. For you, that would be the equivalent of giving 9 or 10% instead of 7 or 8. So let's put in 11% here instead of 9%. Still 300 months. So that's all we're changing is putting in 11% instead of 9%. How does this change it? Well, we're just going to stick with the 25 years so the problem is consistent. So that payment, ooh, I did something way wrong. Let me try that again. They should have more money left over. There we go, $317.23. So that's that power of having an extra 2% interest, going from 9% up to 11% interest. You only had to, before you had to pay almost $450, now it's only about $320. And you'll get the same balance for 25 years. You're looking over 40 years. Can you imagine the difference it is? Yeah. Well, start young and go after that higher percentage rate. You know, yeah. But I mean, so if you're sitting there saying, well, hey, I'm getting 7 or 8%, that's okay. Well, if you can get 9 or 10%, it makes a huge difference. You can see that's almost a third more. I mean, you'd have to pay in almost a third less to get the same amount. So in equivalent, you're getting a third more back on your investment. Time for you guys to try one. So let's say you want, how much do you want in your retirement? $1 billion. Let's go 1.6 million. And now we're going to kind of blend between you. You want 1.6 million and you've got 40 years left. So in 40 years, how much do you need to invest? Now I'm going to do something here that I haven't done to you yet tonight. Do you need to invest each year at 12% interest? I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to try that one. So we've got the 1.6 million divided by 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 0.12 divided by 1, close parentheses. Power of 1 times 40, just 40, minus 1, close parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, 0.12 divided by 1, close and close. That's per year. Asking per year. $2,085.80. But yeah, that is each year. That's all I was asking. So $2,085 a year. That's not, I mean, think of that. Every year when you get your income tax refund, you can probably pull $2,000 out of it, somewhere. or unless you have to pay him that much. But I mean, and like you said, if you divide that by 12 to get monthly, that's only $175 a month. Yeah. Yes. If you can put away $200 a month, starting in your mid 20s at 25, cost of living will approximately double in 40 years. If you do, I did that wrong. You can see about a little over double. As the cost of living will be a little over double in 40 years what it is now. If you figure average of 1.5% to 2% cost of living increase. The poverty line. The poverty line is somewhere in the 20s. Yeah. Yeah. Well, nationwide. So I don't know, adjusted for Wisconsin, it's much lower in Wisconsin. So now, that's if we're making, again, those single payments. Now, it was brought up earlier, don't most annuities have what's called a load? A load is a starting balance. Not to be a load, not to be confused with a load fee or a load charge. A load fee or load charge is what they charge you, what you have to pay to start an annuity. It's usually a percent. Now, a load, let's say you have to do a $5,000 load with $50 monthly payments at, let's go 9% for 30 years. And of course, we're looking to find the future value. What is that load? Well, that load is a required balance you have to start. Rather than starting out at zero and putting in $50 a month and building up from there, you're required to put in a certain amount of money to start out the investment. You have to have that minimum balance to start things off with. That's the $5,000 load. This actually occurs in this calculation occurs in two separate calculations. We start out with the future value of the payments. That's at $50 times 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 0.09. This is monthly, so divided by 12, close to the power of 12 times 30, which is 360, minus 1, close, divided by, open, 0.09, divided by 12, close and close. That's the payments. $91,537.17. Is that what you come up with? Yep. I'll give you guys a second to get there. I'll give you guys, I'll pause here so you guys have time to punch that in again. 91,537. So, next step then is to handle that $5,000 load. We're still looking at a future value. This is simply compound interest. It's a single payment sitting there for 30 years. So it's $5,000 times only one open parentheses, 1 plus 0.09 divided by 12, close parentheses, to the power of the 360 periods. Yeah, last week seems really simple at this point, doesn't it? But that formula only has 12 characters in it? So 73,652.88. So you had to put this amount in at the very beginning. Well, that amount just sits there for the 30 years and draws interest. That gives you this. The monthly payments are calculated separately using this formula. So your ending balance is going to be found by adding these two numbers together. So $165,190.05 would be your ending balance. It's break time. Let's take our break at 7:22. Let's come back at. Okay, so it's time to look at some interesting investment problems. Now, I'm going to warn you in advance. These are the advanced problems. You may see one like it, one or two like it in the homework in my math lab. These would not, if they appeared on a test, it would be extra credit. The first example I want to show you, just because it's kind of fun, is what happens if, lines are disappearing left and right on me. Fun. Well, it didn't say who fun, who it was fun for. Let's say you're starting at 25. From 25 to 35, you save what you can. You save $150 per month. During that time, you go for broke, you go for a risky investment, say, screw it, I'm young, you go for a 15% investment. From 35 to 65, you've got a promotion at your job. You can now afford to invest, put away $300 per month. We're going to keep it at 15%, just for giggles. How does this calculation work? Well, there are 3 steps here. The first is we're going to do this period of time right here, and we're going to find that future value. So that future value, it is an annuity. We're saying it's an ordinary annuity, just to make it simple. If it doesn't specify ordinary annuity or annuity due, assume it's an ordinary annuity. So we're going to have that $150 times 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 0.15 divided by 12 to the power of, how many years is that? 10. So 12 times 10 is 120 minus 1, close parentheses, divided by open parentheses, 0.15 divided by 12, close and close. $41,282.56. So that is the future value of that original investment. Those original, we're going to treat as a separate annuity. Now, what happens to that money over the next 30 years? It just sits there and compounds interest, doesn't it? So we're just going to take that times 1 plus the 0.15 divided by 12 to the power of 12 times 30 would be 360 periods. Notice that is just the compound interest formula. So whatever that first set was we take that final amount, that ending balance, and we just compound the interest for the rest of the term. So we're going to take that times, parentheses, 1 plus 0.15 divided by 12, close to the power of 360. So 3,613,916. 0.74, 0.27. By the way, a little side note, if you start at 25, go into 35, and invest that $150 a month for just 10 years, 15% interest, that's $3 million when you're 65. 15% interest is pushing it a bit, by the way. Now we still have this $300 here that's annuitized over 30 years. So we have to do that piece. So that amount will be 300 times 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 0.15 divided by 12. 12 times 30 is going to be 360 months, periods, minus 1, close, divided by, open, 0.15 divided by 12, close and close. Now I'm going to ask you, why here were we able to use just this small formula, and here we had to use the whole big one? Yeah, because up here, in this example right here, there's no new payments being made. So it's just compound interest. 30 years times 12 is 360. Yep. So for this amount, we're just taking that balance and going on, we're figuring out the new payment separately. Oh, gotcha. I'm getting 2,076,983. 0.88. So we add those up. $5,690,900.15. So basically what's happening here, even though the interest stayed, the percent gain stayed the same, when you change the amount of the payment, you're basically ending one annuity and starting a new one. So at this point, we ended that first annuity. We found its value at that point. Its value at that point right here was the 41,000. So that value then you just take as compound interest to the end, which is what we did here. This was just compound interest, no new payments being added to that. Then you start with that new payment value, and you figure the future value of that on the annuity. So basically, yes, and then you add the amounts together. So if you change the payment amount, you're basically starting a new annuity. So you're treating it as two separate annuities. Yes, both of them still go to 65. But this one was only annuity payments for the first 10, and then the next 30 years were just compound interest, no new payments. You got it? You need more time? Or? Yeah, 15%, like I said, is a little high. 15% is a little high, but if you drop that down to 10%, that still comes to like 2.5 million. And I know you can do 10% over 40 years. If you're trying, you can get 10%. Okay, now the next one. Everything we've done so far, the compound interest period, this is making me nervous up here with the eraser highlighted. The compound interest period is equal to the payment period. What if they're not equal? Well, everything that we've done so far has been that way. What if they're not? So what we're going to look at now is what if they are not? So what if you make payments monthly and interest compounds quarterly? So let's let's do $250 monthly payments at 8% compounded quarterly for 30 years. Since the interest is only compounded quarterly, we're going to use n equals 4. Only 4 periods a year, quarters. We pay the $250 monthly, right? But if we plot out our year here, pretend that's a straight line. I screwed up. We're making payments every month, right? But interest only goes in every quarter, every 3 months. So effectively, this payment I make here, this $250 I put in here, does that change? No, that $250 just sits there, right? How about this $250 here? It just sits there. So essentially what's happening is I'm putting in $750 at the end of each quarter. You're making a $250 payment, but nothing's happening to it. It's almost like it's sitting in a holding account. And then at the end of the quarter, it gets put in there. No interest is going to be gained on it anyway, so what's the use of putting it in, right? So this is equivalent to just making $750 payments, quarterly payments. Does that make sense? Because no interest happens in the middle of the quarter anyway. So your ending balance, your future value, is going to be that $750 per quarter times 123. 1 plus 8% is 0.08 divided by interest compounds quarterly, so divided by 4 to the power of, 4 times 30 is 120 periods, minus 1 close divided by open, 0.08 divided by 4. So even though payments are actually made monthly, we're treating them as though they're made quarterly because the interest only comes in once a quarter. 750 times 123, 1 plus 0.08 divided by 4, close, power, 120, minus 1, close, divided, open, 0.08 divided by 4, close and close. Just rattle it out? I know. 325, 505. 43. I'll hold on and give you a chance to recalculate. Oh, you did 250? So just take the number you got, multiply it by 3. Did you have 108,000? Did you have 108,000? No. Okay, so you might want to try again. Here, I'll come take a look. You're getting 360? Maybe I did it wrong. Wait, let me try it. I may have done it wrong. Let me give it a shot here. 750 times 123, 1 plus 0.08 divided by 4, close, power, 120, minus 1, close, open, divide, open, 0.08, divide by 4, close, close. We're at 366, 193 now. Is that better? It's hard to scroll up through on this calculator, so I'm not going to bother, but something went very wrong. But that's okay. We got it right now. Now, it's more difficult if we go the other way. Let's say interest compounds monthly. Payments made quarterly. Let's say we make let's say we're going to make $1,000 quarterly payments for 25 years. Interest is 8% compounded monthly. So what's going on here? We're looking for that future value again. But what's going on here now in the course of the year? Is now payments are only going in every quarter. But interest is being earned every month. This is one that looks just really tricky and ugly at first, but it's not as bad as it looks. Up above, we just combined the payments so that the payment was just made at the same interval as the interest because the interest was less often than the payment. Here it's the other way around. The payment is less often than the interest. So we need to combine the interest so that we can figure in the interest on that longer period of a quarter. So what we have to do is we have to find the effective rate for a quarter, for 3 months. So how do we find that effective rate for 3 months? I take any value I want to. I'm going to do the $1,000 here and find the interest for 3 months. That's 0.08 times 3/12, right? So we're at $20 in interest. So now our effective rate, oops, I did that wrong. What do I have to do? I did simple interest. I've got to compound that interest. It's times 1 plus 0.08 divided by 12 to the power of 3, because I'm only going for 3 months, right? Yeah, that 13 cents is actually huge, though. I'm going to be 3 months times shoot. No, the power is 3 because it's 3 periods. It would be 12 periods per year times 3/12 of a year, and the 12s cancel out, so it makes 3. Yeah. So 1,020.13. So we subtract that $1,000, we get $20.13 interest. So then we go back to our I equals PRT. 20.13 equals 1,000 times R times 3/12. It's looking familiar? We combine the 1,000 and 3/12 to get 250. So then we take 20.13 divided by 250. .08052. I am going to actually keep that as 8.052% is my effective rate. That's compounded quarterly now. So what that's saying is 8% compounded monthly is equivalent to 8.052% compounded quarterly. So now I'm going to figure this out as though it is quarterly. $1,000 quarterly at 8% for 25 years. So it's 1,000 times 1, 2, 3. 1 plus, now this is going to be a little ugly, 0.08052 divided by 4, because it's quarterly, to the power of 4 times 25 years, 100, minus 1, close, divided by, open, again that ugly percent, 0.08052, divide by 4, close and close. So 1,000 times 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 0.08052 divided by 4, close, power, oops, get out of there, close, power, 100, minus 1, close, open, divide, open, 0.08052 divided by 4, close, close. Oh, that is always good. Let's try that again. Well, something went wrong when I went to enter my exponent and I had to back out of it, so I need to clear it. Good old Kenny Rogers. I got 314, 831. $83. That's not what you came up with? That's what you got? Okay. Now, these last 2 examples I did will never appear on a test. They would be extra credit. Just gonna soothe you right there. But you can see it's not that difficult. I mean, yes, there's a lot of buttons to push, but you see that the concept is pretty simple. Up here, if the interest is less often than the payments, you just combine all the payments and put it in as one payment at the time the interest gets compounded. Yes. If the interest is more often than the payments, then you have to find an effective rate of the interest for the period that the payments are made in. Then you use that effective rate of the interest on each payment. No, those come out of the textbook. I do have the power to write my own. Yeah, the wording's a little bit different. Yeah, they add extra words and saying, you know, some information in them. There is a new quiz due tomorrow. That is Thursday at 11:59 p.m. There's new homework due for next week. Now, that quiz, remember, that's on compound interest. That's that simple formula. That's just the one set of parentheses, okay? The simple formula. You know, where future value is equal to present value times 1 plus r over n to the power of nt. That's the simple formula. The new homework, that's going to be on the formulas from tonight. So I would suggest you do that quiz first using those those formulas from last week, the present and future value formulas. The tough part on that is what we started off the night with, that effective rate. That's going to be the most difficult part of that. And what are the big things you have to remember on effective rate? For effective rate, it comes down to the time. What's important about the time? If it's over a year, more than a year, you use 1 year. If it is less than a year, you use the actual time. Yes, the actual time for less than a year. Yeah, so it's 9 months, it's 9/12 of a year. Yeah, yeah. Or if you know, if it's like quarterly for 9 months, you know it's just 3 periods, so you just put in 3 periods. Yeah. You know, if it's monthly for 4 months, well, you know your exponent's 4, it's 4 periods. So you don't have to do 12 periods in a year times 4/12 of a year. You don't have to mess with that. It's just 4 periods. Yeah. Yes. Just be careful not to use a rounded decimal. Make sure it's an exact decimal. You can't do 4/12 is 0.33333 because it's not exact. I think you guys have suffered enough for one night. I will be here till 8:20 if you want to start in the computer lab on the quiz or new homework or finish up old homework. Remember, your unit test, your unit 3 test is 2 weeks from tonight. The reason I do that on the second to last day is that then the last day that gives us time to do corrections on that test. There usually are questions to help you with on corrections. And then that last day is also extra credit. So some of these problems I showed you here in the last half hour, we might do some of those as a class for extra credit that last day.